Welcome to our historical journey. Today we're exploring a bizarre yet crucial event that reshaped Europe, the Second Defenestration of Prague. Welcome to 1618 Bohemia. Despite the fact that there could have been a queen somewhere in the story, this is not a Bohemian Rhapsody. You might call it a Bohemian tragedy. This is a series of events that ended up igniting a war that once again would reshape Europe. Today forgotten by many, but this story reminds us that religion, though preaching peace and love, often have been seen leading to tensions, to war. Imagine Prague, 1618, a city where religious tensions simmer beneath the surface in an empire divided by faith. This was not uncommon. You see, Europe was very divided, not only between Catholics and Protestants. Oh, that would be far too simple. No. Amongst the Protestants, you'd find Lutheranians, Calvinists, Zwinglians, and Hussites, just to name a few. The Catholics was also divided, though perhaps not as much, but in the eastern central part of Europe, many countries had been re-Catholized, which obviously would leave many poor and ordinary people confused. Why should one believe in one interpretation of the Bible and now in another? Clearly, this was often more for political reasons rather than religious. And that, my friend, didn't help people understanding the religious situation. When King Ferdinand II, a fervent Catholic, becomes King of Bohemia, his policies soon stoke fears among the Protestant nobility. King Ferdinand initiated aggressive policies to re-Catholicize his territories. He undermined the 1609 Letter of Majesty by closing Protestant churches and revoking religious freedoms. Ferdinand II, deeply committed to Catholicism, played a pivotal role in the religious conflicts of his time. Educated by Jesuits, his faith was influenced by the Counter-Reformation, or, in other words, the return to Catholicism from Protestantism. Despite a Protestant majority of 85 to 90% of Bohemia's approximately 2 million citizens, this included a mix of Lutherans, Calvinists, and followers of the Bohemian Brethren, a Hussite reform movement. 85 to 90%, that was a significant majority the king stepped on. One can't help thinking, what did his advisors say? Most likely they were blind for what was about to happen. So anyway, Ferdinand sought to re-Catholicize his territories, essential for consolidating power for his branch of the Habsburg dynasty and suppressing dissent. His policies aimed to restore Catholic authority, aligning with powerful Catholic allies like Spain and the Catholic League. Appointing staunch Catholics to key positions, Ferdinand also promoted Jesuit education, excluding Protestants and suppressing their institutions. His support for the Catholic League and centralization of imperial power threatened Protestant autonomy. These actions, coupled with the persecution of Protestant leaders, created widespread fear and resentment within the Protestant community of Bohemia, which would seem to be a natural reaction to this significant change in the country. Tensions escalate until, on a fateful day in May, Protestant nobles confront two Catholic regents at Prague Castle. In a dramatic climax, the nobles throw two Catholic officials, Jaroslav Borita of Martinice and Wilhelm Slavata of Chlum, along with their secretary Philip Fabricius, out of the castle window. A defiant act meant to protest against oppression. Now, to understand this a bit better, I have to explain defenestration. It is the act of throwing someone out of a window as a form of punishment or political statement. It has occurred in various cultures and contexts before this event, though records are scarce and not as well preserved or detailed. The first defenestration of Prague in 1419, 200 years prior to our story, ignited the Hussite Wars. Hussite protesters, led by Jan Zalivsky, threw 7 city councillors from the new town hall windows, reacting to their leaders' imprisonment and religious oppression. The act in 1419 marked the start of a broader revolt against the Catholic Church. Enough about the first defenestration, just imagine the drama of it. 3 officials thrown from a 21-meter-high window miraculously survived the fall. That's a staggering 69 feet. You might call it luck, but they were saved by landing in horse manure below. The three officials, Jaroslav Borita, Willem Slavata, and the secretary Philip Fabricius, were thrown from a 21-meter-high window, only surviving by landing in manure. The three men now badly needed a bath. They actually did continue their loyalty to the Habsburgs, symbolizing resilience. Jaroslav and Willem fled to Vienna and continued to serve the Habsburg dynasty, holding high-ranking positions and advocating for Catholic policies. The secretary, Philip Fabricius, was ennobled by Emperor Ferdinand II, given the title von Hohenfall. Directly translated, this means von Highfall. Yes, Ferdinand might not have been a wise ruler, but some sense of humor did he have. Philip von Hohenfall continued his service in the Habsburg administration. What a career jump that was. Their miraculous survival sparked debates and legends about divine intervention. Surely a couple of horses must have been proud of their doings. But let's move on. You see, the defenestration itself ignited the devastating 30 Years' War. This act ignites the Bohemian Revolt, leading to the bloody 30 Years' War. Let's delve deeper into how this conflict engulfed Europe. You see, this was, in fact, a Protestant rebellion against the Catholic Habsburgs. This conflict rapidly spread across Europe, involving major powers like Denmark, Sweden, and France. The war devastated Central Europe, causing widespread famine, disease, and the deaths of around 8 million people. Notable figures like Swedish King Gustavus Adolphus and Catholic General Wallenstein perished. As some regions lost up to 60% of their population, these decimated areas almost did not function. However, the political map of Europe was redrawn with the Peace of Westphalia in 1648. One can only wonder why or how throwing three men out of a window could end up causing Switzerland to be formally recognized. Here's some of the many consequences of the peace treaty. Hang on to your chair, because at the end of this terrifying war, some really good thinking was made, creating the outlines for the modern Europe. Before the 30 Years' War, Bohemia was a kingdom within the Holy Roman Empire, enjoying considerable autonomy under the Habsburg rule. Following the Peace of Westphalia in 1648, Bohemia remained firmly under Habsburg rule, losing any pretense of independence it once had. Ferdinand II died in 1637 before the war ended. His son, Ferdinand III, had to navigate the final brutal years of the war when he was just 29 years old. The Peace of Westphalia, signed in 1648, was a pivotal moment in European history. It ended the 30 Years' War and reshaped the continent. It introduced religious tolerance by allowing rulers to choose their state's religion, including Calvinism. The treaties recognized the independence of over 300 German principalities, significantly weakening the Holy Roman Empire. Key territorial changes included France gaining Alsace and Sweden receiving parts of northern Germany. Additionally, the Dutch Republic and Switzerland were formally recognized as independent. These agreements laid the groundwork for modern nation-states and international law, marking a turning point in European history. Thank you for joining us on this historical deep dive. If you're intrigued by how historical events shape our world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our next episode.